Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first live broadcast of the Pop Culture SquadCast. We have a couple of great creators here tonight. We are going to be talking about the Kickstarter Happy Hill that is going to be ending on Saturday. It's by Rich Douek and writing, and Joe Mulvey is doing the art. Chris Sotomayor is doing the colors, and Hassan Atzman Elhau is the letterer. We are going to have Rich and Chris with us tonight, and I'm going to bring them in right away. So let's go. First, we're going to bring in, we'll do it together. Here we go. Hey, guys.
Hey. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. We like to see your hand. How's it going?
Doing okay.
Good.
Well, thanks so much for you guys. This is our first live broadcast of the SquadCast, and I appreciate you guys doing this. We're going to be talking about, we'll talk about Happy Hill for a while. We'll talk about some other things. First of all, Happy Hill ends on Saturday at midnight. Is that right?
That's right.
And right now we can safely say it's going to get funded. It is funded, but there's definitely lots of options. You guys did a great job on what you have in terms of, backer rewards and the things people can get in on. And we'll get into some of that.
We got to give all credit goes to Tyler James, who's the publisher of Comics Tribe. He's our Kickstarter guru master. I don't know what you call it, but
I think I've been getting daily emails from Tyler with all the great things going on. I want to get started. Before we get into it, I would like to share with the viewers and listeners the trailer that's on the Kickstarter, because it kind of gives a really good idea about what to expect from the book and also what's in the campaign. So I'm gonna share that in, and we can watch that. Let me get that up. We can there.
Welcome to Happy Hill, the weekend resort where you can leave all your troubles behind forever. Happy Hill is a supernatural vacation thriller comic book series about the deadly consequences of the pursuit of happiness. When a young girl goes missing at the Happy Hill Resort, all its sinister secrets will finally come to light. The hills are alive with the sound of screaming.
Hey everybody, Joe Mulvey here. You might know me from such books as Wailing Blade, Scam, or Mummy's Always Right. But today, I'm just here to invite you on a trip to a lovely destination vacation known as Happy Hill. And I want all of you to come with me to help me launch a new series. This comic is full of big, crazy ideas that have been rolling around in my head for years, and I can't wait to get it out of there and into your hands. It's got thrills, chills, laughs, and mysteries, and I think it's the best art I've ever done. To help make your stay at Happy Hill a delight, I'm joined by acclaimed writer Rich Douek. Rich and I have worked together on Wailing Blade, and I asked him to bring his razor-sharp scripting skills to this book. Our world-class team is rounded out by color artist Chris Sotomayor, letterer extraordinaire Hassan Atzmani Elhau, and editor and publisher Tyler James. Your support on Kickstarter will help us bring Happy Hill to life by helping us fund a large offset print run, making cool collectibles, and getting this book into as many comic hands as humanly possible.
Happy Hill #1 is a 32-page standard American-sized comic book and features 2 standard edition covers. For just $15, you'll get them both, and that includes free U.S. shipping. We're also offering a number of Comics Tribe exclusive limited edition variants, including a blank artist edition sketch cover and a C.P. Wilson III plush style variant. And for our extra special guests, you can get those 4 comics and some awesome extras, including a Happy Hill brochure, postcard, and metallic prints by Joe Mulvey, the value-packed Happy Hill Visitors Welcome Bag. But that's not all. We're also offering some super rare limited edition variant covers from our horror comic superstar artists, including a terrifying Virgin variant by Alex Cormack, artist of Sea of Sorrows and Sync, and a foil variant by Mike Henderson, artist of Nailbiter. These exclusive variants can be added to any pledge or are available in a bundle with a limited edition Happy Hill enamel pin. And if you're a super collector, you can get all first printing Happy Hill #1 covers and save when you do. Or grab the Happy Hill VIP guest box to get everything offered and a whole lot more. There will also be some premium pledges, including original art by Joe Mulvey and a chance to be drawn into the series available during this launch. Since 2012, Comics Tribe Kickstarter campaigns have been supported by thousands of backers, so you can pledge with confidence when you select one of our rewards because this team always delivers. And since the book is already 100% complete and ready to print, there's zero risk of backing, and you won't need to wait long to get your rewards.
On behalf of the entire Happy Hill team, I want to thank you for your support.
If you're a fan of supernatural thrillers and top-notch horror comics, we hope you'll take a trip to Happy Hill and back our debut issue today.
There it is.
All right, that's it. So, Chris, you're muted. You need to undo that, and I'm just going to get rid of this. Switch this.
Okay.
So, all right. So Joe was supposed to be here, and regrettably has some happy family stuff that he had to take care of. So I'm glad we were able to bring him in and see this because, and I'm somewhat disappointed about it, specifically because I found out about Happy Hill from you, Chris. We've been talking about it for a while, and
Right.
you've been excited about this. I may have seen a couple of pages here and there, and it's very exciting. I mean, it's the perfect kind of horror, but action. It looks beautiful, and I think the timing is going to be nice if everything works out. Hopefully hit the fall October season. I'm not sure if that's going to work for you guys, but where we're ending, that'd be awesome. Rich, why don't you talk about how you got involved in this project?
Sure. So Happy Hill is kind of it is like sad that Joe's not here because Happy Hill really was like Joe's like baby. Like it's like been his dream project for years, and like for years been like hearing about it and seeing sketches and things like that. Like when we were doing Wailing Blade, he was talking about it as like what he wanted to do next. But Joe, I think like when we were working together on Wailing Blade, like we just found that we really kind of like got to a great place, like kind of bouncing ideas off each other and going back and forth, like working together. We made Wailing Blade like probably a lot better than either one of us could have done on our own. So what happened was, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so basically what happened was, Joe had been shooting me like pages and asking my advice on like, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I kept telling him, and eventually it got to the point where he was just like, like, I like everything you're saying, like, and suggesting. So what do you think about coming on and co-writing it? And, I was really excited for it because I love working with Joe. I love working with Chris. And, and like I said, I almost like, I was just very excited about the project because I know how much it meant to him. Like, this is like the book that he's been wanting to do like forever. And Wailing Blade was the book I had been wanting to do for like forever. So it was kind of like, like a nice kind of like trade-off, like, or like Wailing Blade kind of the genesis, even though it's both of us, like the genesis of the idea came from me. And like with this one, the genesis of the idea came from him. But, it's kind of like, getting the band back together. Plus the song.
Yeah, I mean,
it was awesome. So
Hassan is probably like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. I would have loved to get him there too. So, and it's interesting you bring up Wailing Blade. I mean, not surprising, but the way that you guys kind of fed off each other with Wailing Blade in terms of and for those who haven't followed the podcast or the squadcast, I've spoken with Rich and Chris both before about this book. It's outrageous and there's heart and it's in your face and really a great example of comic book storytelling in the modern time. And I feel the same kind of thing coming from this book, just with a slightly, in a different genre, like you, that is, fantasy, sci-fi ish action, and here we have a horror action with mystery involved. It's just really good. Chris, how do you, what do you think about this book? How do you feel about your involvement with it?
I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with the work that Joe's done. I'm happy with the work that I've done with Joe. I'm of course glad to be back with Joe and Rich. They're two of the greatest collaborators you could hope for. They make me feel like part of the team, which is very nice. Joe's definitely doing his best work ever, like ever. I've been with him since like Scam, which I think was his first book, and I was begrudgingly kind of associating with Joe back then in those days because, not all that great.
That was like almost 10 years ago now, I think. Right?
Yeah. I've known Joe for way too long. So to see his growth creatively from Scam, which was, it was fine, to this, which is way, way better. Like you would think that it wasn't even the same person. You couldn't believe it. But what I like about Joe's taking risks. He's learning more things as he goes. He's always been very receptive to feedback, whether it's from Rich or from me. And I think this time around, what's different with Wailing Blade was I came in as the book was being produced, and that was a lot of fun because I got to see what Joe and Rich were doing and then come into it. With this, it's like Joe drew the book specifically for me to work with him on. So there's a lot more room that he's leaving me. It's way more collaborative between he and I. And it's a lot of fun. It's so different than what he usually does. And I like exploring a lot of the things that he's putting in and trying to pull out the best that I can from that material.
That's fantastic. I mean, for people who don't know, with Wailing Blade, you came in like halfway through issue 1, right? And there's, there was, for whatever, for reasons we don't need to get into, but there's definitely that book hit its stride with you, and nothing. I don't mean to be putting anyone in a different place, but the fact of the way that you and Joe kind of fed off of Joe there, and I want to talk about some of the pages that we have, if we don't mind, that are preview pages completely available to the public on the Kickstarter page. Which, if you look at the bottom trailer, you will see the Kickstarter link. It's on Kickstarter, and it's Happy Hill. You search for it, you can find it. And let me bring this in here. And I want to do it. Let's see if I can do this. Go back here. All right. So this is one of the preview pages, and I kind of want to talk to both of you guys about this. I mean, obviously Joe's here, but like, this is a fantastic action sequence page, and even the odd sizes of the panels, the way that they work out, it's just fantastic. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna see Joe. Joe is warning us that he might be able to come in.
Awesome.
Hopefully we'll hang out. We'll wait for him to get here. But let's talk about this in the meantime. I'm gonna pull us out of this and just look at this picture. I can't.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about him before he gets here.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Let's go back to
Definitely
Scam.
talk a
because
lot
we
about
talk about how much Chris loves Scam.
Right. Like, I mean, when this, how did, so Rich, let's talk about how you guys worked on this. Like, was this a more of a dialogue type of thing where you just came in and that, or was this page fully formed? How did you guys deal with that in this
Well,
project?
a lot of when I first came in, like I'd say like issue 1 was mostly done in terms of art, but what I did do was work with Joe a lot on the dialogue, and also kind of arranging the beats and stuff like that of like the story. I think when I originally saw the script was something like close. I think it's like 30 something pages now. It was closer to 40, and we just kind of like went through it together. And I was like, well, kind of don't need this part. What if we move this part over here? I think it's like issue 1 is like that was like the most fully formed. Then issue 2, we from issue 2 on, it was way more like just kind of like bouncing off ideas off each other and kind of forming the scripts and the scenes and all that stuff together. But the thing I love about this page is like, and just Joe's art in general, and it even kind of goes back to like something you noticed in Wailing Blade. It's like he's like very got a great. It's almost like it's a great flow to the action, and like he knows kind of when to get really detailed with the background, when to like go to like these like movement lines and like blank background and stuff. It's almost like it doesn't look like manga, but I think it takes like some like from it to kind of like really guide your eyes and your attention across the page.
Right. I mean, there's that's perfect. In the
so like this page in the sequence is like no, sorry, go ahead.
I think that's okay. Like I said, there's an energy here, and there's you see what's happening, and there's like I said, there's a speed thing that's happening. The first panel like is bringing you a little bit something's going on. It gets a little bit more rapid, and then the third and fourth panels are just full on speed. But then the thing that I love. I think the thing I love the most is that the fifth panel on this page is bigger than panels 2, 3, and 4, and it's like, okay, we're going, and then hold on, stop, and there's that whole motion that comes along with it. So, how did you approach this page, Chris? I mean, I know this is kind of like we're giving free comics experience classes with Chris, but
right.
Like, what do you think? Go ahead, go for it.
I mean, on this page, in this project in particular, I'm kind of opening up a little bit more with different brush techniques, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't stop the action. Like Joe has a really good eye now for this action with the last few projects he's done. It's all been leading up to this, right? So he's developed a lot. I don't want to do anything to stop the progression of the action or the energy of the page. So I'm doing a lot more custom brushes, a lot more broader brush strokes, a lot more quick brush strokes, things like that. And then when things start to calm down in some of the other scenes, it's instead of more horizontal brush strokes and wider brush strokes or longer brush strokes, it's wider brush strokes and more vertical brush strokes, things like that. I also want to make sure that I hit the faces properly because Joe does like some really cool things with some of the faces. And he's good at acting with them. And I know in another 10 years, he'll blow this stuff out of the water too, just because of his attitude and his excitement for his exploration and growth and the way he's taking in information. He's someone who I think will continue to grow. And I think that's one of the things I like about working with him.
That's awesome. I was going to go to another page here. Let's see if we can get All right. So, not that one. Sorry.
Ha.
1, 2, 3. All right. So this is the exposed, the big reveal page. I think this is the page after that, or somewhere around there. And this is what I expect to see, and in a without being too, but like this glow and this color, like Rich. This is Soto right here. Like this is just, it's just all. It's like you're like, oh yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna get, and it's good. It's beautiful.
It's like painting with light. Like, like some of my favorite panels, like in this book and also in Wailing Blade, are ones where like Chris just added so much like character and dimensionality to the scene with literally just like the way he approaches like the light sources and stuff like that. Like there's this one scene in Wailing Blade 4 where like these doors are opening in front of the head taker mask, and it just has this kind of like stripe of light down the center, and I was like, this is my favorite panel in the entire book. It's,
Thanks.
it's just so cool, and it's just such like it's amazing that to me, like just as someone who doesn't know how to do all that stuff myself, just like how much you can get across with like just like simple touches like that. And I think this glow here on the greenhouse is another great effect. You almost, it's like you can feel, like looking at it, it's like something supernatural is going on. Something terrifying is about to happen. And it's like, and that's just one thing I think that Chris brings to the project is, because Joe's line work, like it's line work, like he's not drawing like the lights and the things on there. So it's like, that whole like the atmosphere and stuff is all coming from Chris.
Right. I mean, this is the type of page that makes me love comics, because it's inviting. It's enticing, and you feel like you're right behind those hedges, like looking over, and you're not far from where this guy is who's freaking out right now. And it's that captivating aspect to bringing you inside the story, bring the reader inside the story, that makes me really love the medium so much, because you could put this in a prose way, and I'm not saying not putting prose down, but what you guys have done in this one particular panel, even we're just talking the bottom panel, right, is all of this description, all of this, we could have said, the trees look this way, this tree was falling this way, and this tree was falling that way, but it's all right there, and especially with the tones and the lighting, Chris basically makes the setting another character besides, the one we can't see that it doesn't look like it's doing very well, and the one that's freaking out. I mean, is that something you strive for, Chris?
I mean, yeah, it's very intentional. When I'm organizing pages, when I'm dividing up planes on a page, which is usually how I organize my stuff, that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm glad you said what you said, because I was it just means I did my job right.
Right.
But really, it's
it's
all Joe's
one layer.
composition. Well, yeah,
Right.
one
Only
layer.
one layer.
But it's me feeding off of Joe's composition. Joe laid down what he wanted, and I know what he's looking for at the end, and I'm hoping to, at least get that far, right? I mean, I want to put my stamp on the book also, but I'm thinking more like, this is Joe's baby. I want to make sure I do right by him. So I have to make sure every page hits. I have to make sure the storytelling is clear, that I'm not getting in the way of Rich or Joe or the artwork in general or anyone else. I want to help push along everything that needs to be pushed along.
Cool. Let's see. There's one other panel, a page I want to. Yeah, this one. I think this one is excellent because, and it's kind of like brings the point of how all three and everyone kind of shows up. Ooh, we have comments. Let's see. Oh, there's people. Sorry.
Cool.
All right. So, thanks for watching, Brandon. This panel or this page kind of brings all four of the people involved into this book because obviously Joe's really. I have to agree with the pages that I've seen. There's some serious chops and storytelling about setting the scene and giving the characters room and actors essentially to deliver their lines in a way that's accessible to the audience, and at the same time there's a lot of ambiance. These two panels right here, like you can tell the cars drive, you can see the speed and stuff like that. Again, we get this ominous thing here going on, but the other part is Hassan's location of the word balloons, which is critical. This is a tough panel for a letterer, right? And
Yeah.
he makes it work so well. Even like for those who aren't who don't quite recognize this right here, brilliant. The fact that he put the balloon behind the little pig, this little stuffed animal, so that that this person is the person in the center of the panel. The focal point is here, but there's somebody who's farther away, and this little edge gives you that distance. That's one of the reasons why I think he's one of the best letterers out there, period.
Sure.
But again, the whole concept of this page telling so many different little pieces of tiny stories along the way, it's really good. I mean, how did you guys? I mean, Chris, how did you approach this page differently, especially because there's two very different scenes in the same page?
Right. I mean, I'm trying to continue with the horror palette, which is traditionally like greens and stuff, greens and blues, something very evil. I'm also trying to liven it up a little bit because you're here being introduced to the family dynamic, right? So you've got the mother in the car with the kid and there are other things going on. So I want to keep it warm. I want to keep it friendly, but I also still want to maintain a lot of that spookiness. And sometimes it can be a tough balance, but if I carry through some of the elements from the other scenes where it's like straight up horror, and I start introducing some warmer things into it and some different kinds of surface texture, like, making sure that the skin tones are really soft looking and lights are pretty soft looking, like on the headlights. I didn't opt for something super sharp on the headlights or anything like that. A lot of soft lighting just to try to calm it down a little bit. And basically just, filling in the gaps that Joe leaves open for me.
Yeah, I mean, so the light choice here, right? In these two panels, where
right.
it's coming from the console, right? It's
right.
Coming from what I mean, that you can totally, like, you can draw that line right down to where it's coming up, which is fantastic.
Right. Thanks.
And then we do have another comment here, and I'm going to put this in. One of your former students says, "Love the glowing parts."
Thanks.
I would have gotten killed if I didn't put that comment in. Just
I'm sure.
No, but so let's talk. I know Tyler. We probably should have had Tyler here, and I apologize.
Wait. Before we move on from the art, there's just one other thing I want to ask Chris a question about.
Okay.
Yes, let's do that.
Can you go to that? Do you have that big page of like the double page spread of like when you finally like enter the resort? I think it's on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, I can grab it down. Hang on one second.
Yeah, just grab it really quick. I just have a cool question about this page for Chris.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
The double page spread.
I'm in for it now.
It's kind of like the inside of the resort.
Yeah, that
Okay,
interior
yeah,
shot.
I know exactly where it is. I got it. Okay. So let me. I have to change my share. 1 second.
You know, you can just text me these questions, dude. You don't have to wait for us to be on a live thing.
Well, I know. I need to get to the live uncensored reaction.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the thing I got.
Let me.
All right.
Right.
So this is.
This
is. Let's see if I can make this bigger.
Can you make it embiggened?
So this page really like blew my mind when Joe showed it to me. And Chris, I just wanted to ask: did you or your flatterer want to murder Joe when you saw this page?
All of the above.
Because I could only imagine getting this in black and white and being like, "What the F do I have to do?" I mean,
This
it's amazing.
is the page, right?
It's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Joe gets
So
pretty intricate
when I
at
saw that
times.
page, I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
All right. So I have a question,
Right.
and this is where we want to, and my question is, this is a very shiny floor.
Yeah.
How do we know? Did you know it was? Did Joe know it was as shiny as it is?
No.
Right. That's what I'm trying to get at. So for those people who don't know where my question is coming from, this page, what Chris got was inked, right?
Right.
And that was just plain white blank tiles on that floor.
Right.
And all that mirror image is all you.
Right. Right. I'm very uncomfortable with this.
I
Whole
understand.
thing.
I'm sorry. You're gonna come on the show. This is what you're gonna get. So you're gonna come back.
That's fine.
All right. I'll remove it. But
You're
No,
right
that-
at the
that
I
is
don't,
fantastic.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
You're right at the edge of my imposter syndrome, though.
I understand.
But no, go ahead. Ask what you were going to ask, or say what you were going to.
No, so the point is that you have to make those decisions
Right.
to enhance this page. Now, how does that work for you? When do you make those choices? Like there are times in your career in the business that you're in with the amount of work that you do that you don't have the time to make that choice.
Right.
Right? What made this panel page need that?
When Joe and I first started talking about the book, the first thing I talked to anyone about before price, before format, before any of that stuff is schedule. I got to make sure that I have the time to put into the project that I need to put in. So when Joe and I first started talking about this book, the schedule was very open. He said I could take as much time as I needed to make it look as good as I could. And that gave me a chance to look through every page and sit with it for a little bit before I start working on it. So thank you, Joe, for that. The other thing is, like I said, this is Joe's baby, right? So I got to make sure that everything elevate it at least a little bit from where I got it from, right? I'll tell you a small anecdote, because this is kind of what I had in my head when I approached Joe's work. A few years back, or many years back, I should say, I had an editor who was working on a book, a Marvel book, and it was for breakout talent, right? Newer talent. And this editor called me in and he said, hey, I got this story from this penciler, brand new. It's his first job. I really need like a colorist who has some chops and to make him look good. And, I wanted to send it to you. So I was very flattered. I'm sure I wasn't his first choice, but, I was the choice most available probably. But I got the pages and I was kind of in the middle of some other stuff, and I wasn't really giving it the attention that it needed. And I realized that, and it was a short story, but I realized that 3 pages in and I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, this isn't right. So I scrapped everything and I started it all over again. And I put the time in. I made sure that, like with anything you borrow, you want to give it back at least in the same condition you got it in, right? I try to make sure I clean it up a little bit. I have it all ready and presentable for that person. So that's kind of that's my mentality when I approach stuff like this. That's, someone's baby or their new project or their first project. I want to make sure that I go and I make them look as good as I can make them look. Right. Because I've been doing this for a while. My reputation is what it is. This is Joe's brand new thing, and it doesn't have a life yet. So it's up to me, being the last person in the visual artistic line, to make sure that I step it up and try to make him proud.
Cool. That's awesome. I mean, you can see you can see in every page, every page on the preview pages that you're looking at. I mean, obviously, that stood out to Rich on that page. But I've seen people give you some. I've seen some other things where there's buildings with like each window has a different color.
Yeah.
So there's what we're looking at in terms of this is, I don't know what's in this swag bag, but there's some crazy rewards here, which I like. But the thing I like about this Kickstarter a lot is that the rewards are things that someone who wants to read a comic book wants. A lot of Kickstarters, you'll find that there's like a sketch, a torso sketch or a full color, commission attached to it, or you need to buy like, or the other, outside of the just book version of whatever the reward is. It gets to be like, sometimes I would like to go a little bit beyond that, but the reward tiers that I find beyond the main get the book tier are just things I don't want. So,
it's hard. Like Tyler's run the last few Kickstarters I've done, but I did run one for Gutter Magic like a few years ago, and it's you're sort of like racking your brain, like what can I justify charging like $10 more for or $5 more for without it being something that like if I'm gonna like charge $10 more for it and it's gonna cost me like $8 to make, there's no point. You know what I mean? So it is kind of hard to think of like things that are gonna add value for people, yet still be like make money for the project. So I totally sympathize with Kickstarters that have like not great rewards or like very very few tiers, because it's difficult sometimes to think of like what you're gonna fill those tiers with. So I totally get it.
There's, like I said, there's you can go crazy. I mean, you guys do have some tiers that people, hopefully there are people out there who've won lotteries or have generational wealth that they need to move around, and I support that.
Small price to pay to be immortalized in the book by
that is
Artist Joe
true.
And Chris. I mean, come on.
There is the. I mean, there's 3 spots available. Do we know? I mean, have you gotten any of the final tier?
I think we have. I'm not 100% sure, but let me check real quick.
I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. I just want people to see this. Hang on a second.
Yeah, no, the Immortal Guest Package is actually sold out. So all three of them went. Yeah.
That is That is fantastic. Well, you missed it. All of you people who are watching this now or later or whenever, you had an opportunity. You got to get here early to get in.
You never know. We might have a cancellation or something. I mean, it happens with
that would see that's the part. That's the part.
Kickstarters and hotels. Last minute. So you never know. But
so, let's. How far? What's the length of this series? I mean, and then hopefully Joe will show up maybe later. But how many issues is this looking at right now?
Right now, we're planning on 5 for
5 to tell the first story.
To tell the first arc. Joe's got like a ton of ideas, kind of based around the resort and the kind of themes he really wanted to explore with this. So it's like, I think we could probably do quite a few more arcs. It's just it makes more sense to just sort of break it down into what's achievable right now. And I think we were thinking about 8 at one point, but then we settled on 5 as a good length for an arc. It'll make a nice, good sized trade, not too short, not too long. And then, people really responded to this Kickstarter, so we'll probably do another one for the trade. People respond to that. We're, more than happy to keep going with it. So
that's great. That's great. It's definitely a story that, with legs. I mean, you can go back, you can go forward. That's the good part about centering it on something that is inanimate.
Yeah.
But alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a hotel. I mean, and do not take this as me saying this is something we're going to do, but you could do something where it's Bob's Vacation in Happy Hill. Chris is, you just right. Any character, you could write 20 characters and each have a little kind of anthology or something of
well, so
stay at Happy Hill, or a Fantasy Island kind of thing, so
let's talk about that only because I'm going to be passive aggressive and jealous of the fact that I was not asked to give a preview quote like some other people were, and one of those people was John Lee's, right? And his hotel series was holy crap, crazy. But again, obviously it totally different series, totally different concept, because I think there's his is way more theological, if for lack of a better word, and that series was crazy. But the same type of thing like that. He has room there in that series, just like you guys would have from here.
Yeah, John. John's a really good friend, and a fellow Comics Tribe creator. We've known each other for years and years. So we definitely, Joe and I are both very inspired by his work. Both Hotel, but also Sync, the book he does with Alex.
Yeah, and we got
which is another one that Sync is kind of less about individual characters, and it's more about this area, Sink Hill. It is fictional Glasgow, and it just sort of gives them room to tell a lot of different stories. So,
and you got Alex on a cover. So do we have since I got you here, is there a third series in the Sorrow Bones world of you, with the two of you getting back together? Because it's magic.
Oh, well, thank you. There's an idea for a third series, and It's kind of making its way through, jumping through all the hoops it needs to jump through, to kind of become a real thing. So, I don't want to, really give anything away about it, but it's definitely on our mind.
You don't have to. You know,
It's definitely on our minds, and you know, I think IDW is like enthusiastic about doing something more with us. So at this point, it's more like, you know, there's just like a process it needs to go through before, you know, we can be like, yes, 100% we're doing it. But you know, you know, we definitely have plans. So.
One of the things that I hear probably the most often when I'm talking to comics pros is, I can't tell you any more about that, or I can't say anything. That's all I'm allowed to say.
Yeah,
you know, and so I get it. You know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that fans and consumers, you know, don't know about. There are, you know, I mean, Chris, how many? Can you count how many things you have colored that never saw print?
Oh, there's a lot. There's
right.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it got all the way to you.
Yeah. There's a couple of series at Marvel even that got to me, and you know, I colored covers and pages, and then they just never happened.
Usually, you know, there's a. You can see the edge of my board here, but there's one of the things up here is a lost comic story that I'm chasing down. There's a story, and I think I may have told one. Yeah, I may have told you about this, Chris. But there's a comic, and I'm not going to say the name because that a story was told to me that this comic had been greenlit, had been approved, had gotten to the point where pages were drawn, the pencils were done. It had gotten to the part, I believe, where it was about to be lettered, and then it was canceled, and it never happened. And subsequently, the person who told me about the story had seen it and was very sad that it got canceled, and ended up speaking to the writer accidentally. He happened to be talking about the project, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's my project. I wrote that. And they're like, oh, well, what happened? He's like, well, they offered it back to me, but no, I'm sorry. I apologize. The story is that it got printed. It got printed and never published, never distributed, and the writer couldn't buy the story back because he would have had to buy back all the printed pages, all the printed copies.
Oh,
so it ended up getting pulped and never saw distribution.
So that wasn't like a Marvel or a DC thing. That was like
was DC.
Oh, that was
a DC book. It was a DC book.
As soon as you said pulped, I kind of figured it was a DC book.
Yeah. This was it was mid-90s that this happened.
Right. Okay.
I think the rarer part of that is the fact that it actually got printed and stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that I think, you know, kind of makes it to a certain point and then dies for whatever reason. Like I'll not naming specifics. Like I got to do an inventory issue for DC that it was great. You know, everyone loved the script. Got drawn up, and then right before it was about to get colored and lettered, you know, there was a change up in editorial, so it just didn't happen. You know, and it might not, even if it had been done, it might not have happened because it was like a fill-in issue. But you know, it's just I think it's just the nature of the business at that level that like it just happens sometimes because plans change and people move around and stuff gets lost in the shuffle. It sucks, but
but you got to write Superman.
Yeah, that came out, but
yeah,
but like the funniest thing is I was like, I'm not going to celebrate until they announce it. Like, you know, like I know it's written and like I've seen the art and it's amazing, but I'm not going to do the happy dance until it's announced. Got announced, did a little happy dance, and I'm like, still not going to fully relax until I'm holding it in my hand, because like in my head I'm like, I don't know, like it could have gotten stuck on that freighter that was stuck in the Suez Canal. I have no idea.
There were things stuck there.
Right.
Yeah.
There was
Like,
a lot of Kickstarters in this house that had to.
I was just like, I was almost like, I'm not going to like be able to fully admit to myself that it's real until it's like actually real. So,
So how did that happen? That was in the anthology in the red, white, and blue, right?
Yeah, red and blue.
Red and blue. So was it approached to you as to pitch for the anthology for the red and blue, or was it something else? How did that story come about?
Well, no, actually, what happened was Jamie Rich was the group editor of Superman at the time, and we had gotten familiar over the years. I first met him when he was in charge of Vertigo at the time. I was trying to get like a creator-owned book going, or whatever the deal is there, like a creator-driven series over at Vertigo, and just like sending him stuff, and nothing ever really came of it. But we kept in touch over the years. So like I sent him Wailing Blade, I sent him Road of Bones, I sent him Sea of Sorrows and stuff like that, and then basically like when he got the job as group editor for Superman, I just got in touch just to say, hey, congratulations! Like, I love Superman. If you ever want to hear any ideas, I've got them. And and then even then, it's still a little while, but I think I got back in touch, and I was just like, hey, got a really cool Superman idea I'd love to share with you if you ever have the time. And he did, and he was like, sure, hit me. And I don't know. Like, I don't know if he was expecting to just be sort of like, not love it, or whether he, was really interested or whatever. But it was just like very casual, like, yeah, what do you got? And I was like, all right. So I put the Buddy Queer Mattress. So I wrote it out. I like double checked it like 10 times. And I sent it to him, and he was like, I really like this. He's like, there's a couple of ways we can do it. I think you have like a really good story here, and if you wanted to do like another inventory, like we could do that. He's like, but if you can fit this into 8 pages, like a tight 8 pages, he's like, I actually do have a slot for it. I didn't know at the time it was Remember in Blue. I don't think the series had been announced then, but he was like, we're doing more anthologies, and he's like, if you can get this story into 8 pages, like I have a place for it. So I went, and I just sort of went, because it was originally like a little more complex, like there's like a little more back and forth and a little more like a slow build to it and stuff. So, but I just sort of rejiggered it, and I wrote an 8-page outline, just like page 1, this is gonna happen, page 2, page 3, page 4, and I sent it in, and he was like, this is great, like let's do it, and we were off to the races, and I almost had like a heart attack, but it was joy. But
Congratulations.
It was thanks, man. Yeah, it was a great experience too. Like I it's my first piece of DC work, Big 2 work, whatever, and like to get paired with Joe Mulvey as an artist who's like someone I've followed and admired like for years. Like he's just so amazing, and we vibed like really so well on like what we wanted to get across with the story. It was really couldn't ask for like a better collaborator like in that regard. Like and he's just like a super nice guy, and he's very very like sending me stuff and asking my opinion, and like if I want to change anything, where it's like him asking me if I had any notes for him. It felt like I don't know, like Jack Kirby was like, what do you think, kid? You want to change this or whatever? You know what I mean? Or like Leonardo da Vinci being like, what do you think about this Mona Lisa smile? Should show more teeth, or you know what I mean? It's like
whatever you want. It's fine.
no, I'm just saying, it's
whatever you
like,
want to do, that's what we're gonna do.
yeah. I'm just saying, like you know, it was definitely like, you know, he's just like a sweet guy and a super collaborator. No pun intended, but yeah, just great experience, like start to finish. And
So-
I'm really happy with how it came out too.
Good. That's fantastic. So, like, Chris, and I'll get to a couple of interesting inventory stories. But like when you were, you don't get asked to do inventory stories anymore? I mean, do you?
I listen. I'm freelance. I'll do whatever.
I know you will, but I'm
Yeah.
saying people would rather. People are just going to like do the book. Okay, I mean,
I don't know.
okay, well, they should be. So, but like, have you ever been surprised? Like something came out and you're like, oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. When Deadpool finally picked back up after the pandemic, and and the books started coming out again after, months after I finished them. That was a surprise. Or when the Question hardcover came out, I'd completely forgotten about the collection, so that was a surprise. But
okay,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
How have you already ordered the new remastered
yes
full thing?
Yes,
So
already pre-ordered. Yeah.
I spent last Thursday with Mike Gold up in Connecticut. And,
Nice.
Yeah, we had some question reminiscing, and one of the interesting things that he brought out, he was talking about how Dennis and Bill, even way back then, the magic that they do together, and I'm very excited. For those who haven't seen the news, there's going to be a question like remastered Ultimate Edition from the old series from '88 with Denny O'Neil writing and Dennis Cowan on the art. Rick Magyar did the inks, and Willie Schubert did the lettering. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you guys. I don't think I've told you. I'm sure you haven't read my stuff, so I'm gonna tell the Lost Batman story. There is this is one of my favorite stories, favorite Lost and inventory stories. There was a time when and I don't remember the writer on this story, but it was an 8-page story that was Mike Mignola drawn Batman story. And maybe Mike might have written it. I don't remember, and I apologize to everyone for that. But Mike drew it and penciled it. It never got inked, but it was penciled on boards, so it got lettered. And the editor at the time of Batman hated it. It was a Clayface story, and did not like it at all. So it was killed. It was canceled. Never happened. Didn't make it out, to the point that DC took the pages, the boards, and sent them to a Canadian artist to practice inking on them. And subsequently, the editor of Batman changed, and the new editor came and said, whatever happened to that Mignola story? And apparently they were putting together a secret files of villains, one of those things. I'm like, oh, it's a because it had made the news within the building. There were Xeroxes around. People had seen the story, and they're like, let's print it. So they had to go find the pages, and they got them back from the Canadian inker. He never did anything with them. He just had these pencils, Mignola pencils, sitting there. He got them back, and so when the news came about that this was actually going to come back, Mike said, I want to. And again, I haven't talked to Mike about this. I have talked to Kevin about it, but Mike said that he didn't want. He's like, well, I know that Kevin Nolan was originally supposed to ink these pages, so, but I think maybe I want to ink them myself. So he asked Kevin if it was okay because Kevin was supposed to do this. Kevin said, "Sure, whatever you want to do, go ahead." And Mike looked at the pages and he's like, "This is so long ago. I don't even know who drew this. I don't even know who this is. I couldn't even begin to do this." So Kevin, go ahead, you ink it. So he did. Kevin inked it, and it got colored, and this is a great story because the reason that it came to my attention, and then I went and ended up talking to Kevin about it, was that it showed up at John Workman's house. This secret villain's origin. He's like, why am I getting this DC book? Because it was just coming as comps, and he's like, I don't even know. So he starts looking through it, and he says, this guy. This letter is pretty good. I could probably learn some stuff. Let me look at this. And it was the pages that he had inked. He had lettered years ago that for the Mignola story that got buried. That
Oh my God.
he didn't remember. He hadn't remember. So he didn't. It just showed up in inventory story at his house, and he didn't remember. He hadn't remembered doing it, and and he's like, oh yeah, that was that.
Wow,
Amazing.
that's awesome.
These things happen in comics.
Yeah.
It's as much as we enjoy, getting the books, whether it's digital or in your shop on a weekly or however often you get there. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that really make it a rich tapestry of stories beyond the stories.
Absolutely.
So, we're getting close to the edge of.
Joe?
Do we go? Well, I'm not expecting Joe. He says call in. I don't know how he's going to call in. There's no phone number, so we'll see. I don't know what that. He's going to be like, "Hello."
He's going to call Rich.
Where am I calling? He's going to call one of you. He's like, "Oh, put me on speaker," and that's how we'll figure it out. No, so I went to a con this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody feel like doing that?
I'm not doing any shows this year.
I'm supposed to go to one in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know where we are. There's a con happening. Well, there was a con happened in Florida this past weekend, and I know some people there, and I am worried for them.
Right.
And there is a big con going to be happening in Orlando on the 12th next weekend.
Right, MegaCon. Right.
Yeah, I don't understand. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Like if you're in Florida, you're in Florida. But I can't imagine being not in Florida and going there right now.
Yeah.
And I apologize to anyone in Florida who is sane. So, this is. I got to say, when I went to a con, I was at Terrificon last weekend, and it was really wonderful. People were very responsible. I would say at least half of the attendees were wearing masks. Quite a bit of the guests were wearing masks. And when I say that, because it was well attended. I've been to this show once before, and I think there was a fairly close number of guests. I mean, attendees, fans, that there were at the previous one. It's closer. I think it was probably a little bit less, but it was close. Given the current, climate. But people were standing away from each other. People were just that much not. People are. I went diving in some long boxes, but there wasn't anybody right up against my shoulders, and I wasn't up against anybody's shoulders. Again, it was in Connecticut, where most people, more people are vaccinated, and more people are. There's not a lot of spread of the Delta variant, so
right.
But it was nerve-wracking. I mean, I got to say that at some point it was a little scary walking in. It was a little scary walking around. I wore my mask, um, and you get that weird feeling. Like this is the weird part about this whole thing is when you see somebody that you want to, shake their hand or give them a hug or something, and you're like that the punch hand. How do we?
Right.
What do we do here?
Oh, I'm gonna do the head nod. I'll do a head nod, and
that's as far as I got with Jimmy Palmiotti. So.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not doing any shows this year. I usually do New York Comic Con religiously, mostly because I have the opportunity to raise some money for whatever charity I'm supporting that year. But this year, I was tempted, but I can't pull the trigger on it. Not in good faith, not with the way things are going. And New York is probably faring better than a lot of other places. But I just don't have the confidence in people to do the thing that they need to do all the time. And this is something where you have to be right 100% of the time or something is going to be compromised. And I don't want to take that chance. So.
No, I get it.
I'll meet up with anyone for dinner during the show, but I'm not going into the show.
I may do that. we might need to plan that, but
yeah, definitely.
A month ago, things were different. I will say a month ago, and I talked to somebody this past weekend, and he said, when things started to look like they were opening up, all the shows started to say, "Hey, we're gonna do this." He got like 10 invitations.
Right.
Immediately threw out all the Florida and Arkansas ones, and
right.
And I'm not going to do that. That's how it works. But like, again, a month ago, I felt like we might be able to pull this off. We might be able to go back to some level of normalcy. But every day that goes by since about a week and a half ago, I get more concerned. I don't know that we're going to have the show in DC. I don't know that New York's going to happen, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just saw that the car show got canceled.
Yep, I saw that. I'm sure they'll wait until like September or something to really make a decision.
Sure. Well, I don't know. When was the car show supposed to be?
I don't even remember.
But
I did see the announcement that they canceled it. But yeah, I don't know.
How about you, Rich? No.
Yeah, I was planning on doing New York. Also the decision was made like about a month ago. So when I found out,
right.
So now it's like not really sure. I guess we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. Like personally, I feel like at least it's New York, so that like if it does go on, then I feel like the like New York, like as a city, is very good with like enforcing stuff. So it's like if there's some, like they've been talking about like mandatory vaccinations for indoor activities, wearing a mask,
restaurants. Like how does that work? You guys, I mean, for people who don't know, I'm tri-state area native by birth, but I'm down in Baltimore now. So you guys are up there. So how are they going to enforce vaccinations indoor restaurants?
I mean, I have no problem carrying my vaccination card with me. I even put it on a lanyard in one of those little clear pockets.
It's in the inside of my car, right in there. So if I ever need it, I know exactly. I was very careful about where I put it, where I always know it will be.
Right. I'll wear it like I'm going on a school trip,
Right.
and then just flash it and be done.
Here you go, idiots.
Yeah. I mean,
There's also,
I'm not looking to go out to dinner, every weekend right now anyway. So, whatever. But I'll carry it with me.
I could be mistaken because I kind of just skimmed an article about it, but I believe there's also some kind of like smartphone app you can like load up.
Oh yeah.
That has like the records and things like that. So it's kind of like a, I guess like a digital way to do it. So
right.
Which I think is actually good because, like if you lose the vaccine card for whatever reason, it's like, you're it's not like you can like go make a photocopy of it or something.
Well, so I did see an article today, which is kind of great news, and we're going to talk about that. So this is the Pop Culture Squad. We're talking about pop news as well. Most states you can go back to where you got it if you can do that, or you can go to your health department and they can just get you another copy of it. Like it's all everywhere you get your vaccine. Everybody who gives you a vaccination has to contact your local health department, state health department, and because that's going to happen. People are going to we're talking about booster shots. They're going to need to know what they had before. Is there going to be an incompatibility with producers? How are we going to have to do that? All that stuff's probably things we're going to talk about.
Sure,
Let's talk about something. Let's talk about comics.
What's
the all right? How do we feel about? Have we seen any of the new Marvel stuff? Let's talk about it. Anybody?
I have not purchased recent comics in a long time.
No, I'm sorry.
Towards back stuff.
No, I'm sorry. Let's take it out. Let's go to comic properties. Disney's Marvel Entertainment.
Okay.
Have we watched any of the shows or Black Widow?
All of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen Black Widow yet, but other than that, I'm current.
I've seen Black Widow. I've watched it twice already.
Okay, so
I paid for it. I'm going to watch it.
We went to the theater. There was nobody in the theater but us. We did go. All right. Florence Pugh was fantastic. She made that movie.
Yes. Stole it. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. She is the heart of it. She's just. I don't think I would like. I mean, it would have been a fine movie, but it was a really good movie because of her.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to see her again. She's got to pop up again and again. And
she is going to be.
Yeah,
she's going to be. She's going to be in Hawkeye. That's already confirmed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But I've there's this pop culture. Sometimes pop culture kind of like works in a way where the world and the environment and the content match. Like the fact that we've all been stuck at home, not going out, and had the ability to watch these shows, WandaVision and Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki, and they've all been. I've enjoyed them all to varying degrees, but they're captivating. We would go to the point where we would have watch parties. That's the one. I don't know if anybody's familiar. There's a watch party function on the Disney app. Yeah. So my son who lives in Pittsburgh, I would send him the link and we'd all put him on the phone. So he'd be on speakerphone, but we all watch at the same time.
Cool.
It became like family, awesome. like destination TV, like we used to have back when we had.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I actually like the fact that they come out like one a week. It's like,
right.
And it's cool that they're all there. So like, if you missed one, you could catch up or anything. But like, it kind of just gives you something to like look forward to every week. It's like, oh, Wednesday going to be new Loki. Yeah. Can't wait for it. Or I maybe I'm just like old fashioned or something, but I like it way better than like the just dump everything all there at once and like to blitz through.
I definitely enjoy that the fact that they've made it more difficult for me to do that. I mean, I'm the kind of person that will if I find something and I'll just watch it through. Most of the time when I don't binge through something like that is because I'm trying to watch it with someone in my house and they want to go to bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I found the first season of Penny Dreadful and watched the entire thing in one day. And I'm like, okay, when my wife got home, I'm like, okay, we need to watch this now because this is really good and you have to watch it with me, so I watch it again.
Yeah. No, I mean, I binge watched stuff like I binge watched the original Twin Peaks on VHS. Like I got a stack of VHS tapes from a friend, and I was just like, he was raving about it, and I was like, all right, like whatever, I'll watch it, and it was just like hooked. Like I was up to like 4 a.m, like for like 3 or 4 nights in a row. I just like going through the whole series. So like I totally get binge watching. But I do definitely like that kind of like the fact that like an episode drops and we all have to use spoiler tags, but we all get to talk about it for like, you know, a few days and speculate about what's coming next and stuff like that. It's fun for me.
That was one of the great things about it. I mean, it's difficult. And I don't know if you guys experience it, or Chris, you experience this. I'm not sure. You know, when I talk to my kids about stuff like that, they'll come at me because they know who I am. And
I hope so.
And and they'll be like, "Well, is this real? I mean, is this how it happened?" And I'm like, "No, that's not how it happened. They wrote a story and they put it onto TV. It's not the original story. It takes parts of things. When the story that I read or the story that I know has this in it, or this is the way it worked, and it's okay." You know, as an older nerd, you go through those stages in life where you're immediately against anything that's just so like when something formed your childhood, you don't want to see it broken and see other people see it in a different way. There's that initial.
There is that, yeah.
But you know, it takes a mature person to get past that and say, okay, I'm not going to lose what I had. What I have still belongs to me.
Yeah.
What other people are allowed to enjoy things in different ways, and it's a different story. It's their story. It's not my story. I can still like my story because I have Legion 5 years later right there, and I can go read it whenever I want to. You know, it doesn't matter that, you know, kids are reading Legion now, and it doesn't make any sense to people who read Legion, you know, 30 years ago. We don't say that number though, and but like. Especially like, and there were points like there's some movies that a lot of people have seen that I haven't seen because I'm not interested in that story. I'm not interested in the story they're telling. But with these things, I like the fact that it's exposing so many more people to stories. I like the fact that the heart of what makes comic books, and especially superhero comic books, you know, relatable is the, you know, Captain America punches Nazis. You know, Superman, it means hope. You know, these are the stories. You know, Batman doesn't kill people. I mean, that's a problem, but you know, you hope that worms. Sorry, you know, the concept of that that's what the superhero stories come from. And if you get people who want to tell a story and be true to the essence of a character without necessarily telling the story that we've already read, and it works with these characters. I mean, the dynamic between Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson in that story was fantastic. You could see the pain that they each were dealing with. You could see how, as much as they had nothing, they had very little in common and didn't care for each other a lot. There's that concept of they are heroes, and it's not that they know this, but to know that someone is a hero and someone who will put their life in front of in front of others. It worked so well, and that's what made the foil character not work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so Rich, you're younger than Chris and I, right? When you are, what was your first experience as a comic book reader to John Walker? Like, did you ever experience it?
To what?
To John Walker.
John Walker.
Pizza Hut cap.
Yeah, Pizza Hut cap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the new Captain America.
Yeah, no.
US agent.
My first experience of him, and the reason why it threw me is because I know him as U.S. agent.
Yeah, okay, right.
Like because that's when I was like reading comics and stuff. I read them like when I was a kid, so I don't 100% know the details. I probably remember it most from those old um, like the handbook to the Marvel Universe things. It was basically like a Marvel encyclopedia. You'd flip through and see the characters, and I remember the U.S. agent page and reading the story about that.
Chris is turning around to show it to you because he colored it, probably.
No,
DC's version was called Who's Who in the DC universe. And I loved it. I loved those books. It was like a weird thing because it's like, it really was like an encyclopedia. There was no action or anything. It was like each page was like, like a picture of a character, full body shot, and then like paragraphs about who they were and stuff like that. There you go. But I love I was just like a very I love kind of like diving into stuff.
Who drew that page? Who drew that page?
Oh, is that I gotta find it again.
Oh, come on! That was
Shadow King? Yeah, it was Shadow King.
Shadow King.
Yeah, that was Farouk.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is.
Is that Bill?
Mark Siri. No, that's Mark Siri. Okay. The other stuff is Bill here.
Yeah.
On this page.
Yeah. So I remember him supposing to be like the kind of knockoff Captain America that was like more violent and more not like extreme, but just like kind of almost like a darker Captain America, and I think like what I liked about his characterization in the series as well is that he's not like kind of like a black and white character, like he was nuanced, like he went too far and he did things that were reprehensible, but like he was still kind of like a good person, like struggling, so I like that when things are not always like just like so cut and dry, so
yeah, no, it's great. I mean, like people being exposed to the character, like he's an asshole. I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
I've always hated him.
I hate him. He's horrible. They're like, oh, what do you think of this guy? He's an asshole. Like people are asking me, like he showed up. I think the first time I really saw him was in West Coast Avengers, because West Coast Avengers was the
hated him there too.
I hated him there. I loved West Coast Avengers. I mean, it was a good series, and which kind of plays into the WandaVision thing too as well. But I thought if you're going to introduce, I thought the way that they brought that character in, who I've never liked ever, it didn't matter where he showed up, he was always he is that he is the Blue Lives Matter version of the Marvel Universe.
Yep.
Yep. But for the most part, there was that bit of fan people who were trying to say that he was right, and unfortunately, they exposed themselves. But for the most part, they're able to see that the concepts that people are trying to tell, or the stories that we tell, or people tell it, in superhero stories, is that there are. It's not easy, We can pretend and go back and just look at Bob Kane Batman and Joe Simon Supermans, and just say, or I'm sorry, Jerry Siegel Supermans, and say, end of the day, I just everything's peachy keen and roses and I win. But what we've grown as a medium is the nuance, and that there are consequences. And the good stories tell those consequences without it destroying the point of hope. And I think to me, that's what comic books are all about.
Yeah.
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 Even
That's why I
even
like Captain
Sandman.
America, because Captain America always finds a way. Superman, he's the thing that you aspire to. He's the one that all heroes aspire to be. Yeah, that's paramount for me in superheroes. Is that hope and that nobility.
Like for me, like like the ending of like the Superman movie where like he kind of turns the planet back around or whatever.
Yeah.
It's cheesy, but at the same time, like I find it weirdly poignant because like what it says is that it's like he literally will always find a way to save the day if he has to reverse rotation of the planet and reverse time itself to find a way to save the day. Like he's gonna do it, and like there's way more nuanced ways to do it, like especially as like superhero stories have evolved. But that's one thing that I've always loved about that moment. Is that it's a sort of like in a weird way, it's very like kind of poignant that like he would like move heaven and earth to like make things right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the cheesiest. I don't know. What is the cheesiest thing? Is it the spinning the earth backwards, which is completely ridiculous, or is it the Flash, the Superman symbol,
the emblem thing? Yeah.
Which one's worse? Come on.
I wouldn't call that cheesy. More of like it's just like it didn't make sense to me. It was just like,
well, the turning the earth back didn't make sense to me. Even as like even like I love that movie. It's my favorite.
I've seen stuff online like trying to like get like a no prize or something, like explaining like, well, actually the Earth's not really rotating. It's just he's moving so fast that it seems to be. Like people are trying to like explain it like in real world terms. It's just like it's ridiculous. Just go with it.
Just go with it. Yeah.
But like the emblem thing was just like I have no like I don't know. Maybe
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Like getting high in the writer's room or something like
I again, everything about Superman the movie is everything you want a superhero story to be, but I don't think I can show it to. I think it gets lost on a newer generation.
Sure. Yeah. Like Star Wars. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Chris loses. He'll be back. Joe's coming in. Joe said he'll be here in a couple minutes, so we're gonna hang out for let's try and get another 15 minutes out of this or so. See how we're doing. So besides the red and blue. What do you think of these books? Let's ask. Have you seen any of the other ones? This color coded anthology that everybody is doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've read Batman Black and White back in the day. I haven't read the Wonder Woman one yet, but I've read a few of the Marvel ones, like they were doing Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, and Carnage.
And I think the Deadpool one just came out this week.
Yeah, and I mean, like, admittedly, like the limited color palette is like a gimmick. Like, it just is. Like, there's no like specific reason why it needs to be those colors, but I do really like them. And I'm saying this both as like a reader and someone who got an opportunity to write one. And the thing I like about them is that it's like when the stories like, there's a lot of room to kind of experiment and a lot of room to really try things that would never happen in a monthly series, both because of the format and because of like the weight of like so much continuity and having to sync up with like all the different moving parts in the universe. It's like if you had a great Superman story where Lex Luthor was the bad guy. To tell that in the monthly series, it's like, okay, well, is Lex alive? Is he currently human? Is he, is he the president or is he the tycoon? You know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of things that have to go on, and it's like, okay, and you want Lois Lane. Oh, but Lois is, on in the other Superman book, Lois is on assignment in Gotham City, so you can't use her this month. So there's like a lot of stuff that kind of like has to sync up, and also, you're definitely gonna have at least some people being like, well, I think it's bullshit that you had Lex Luthor say that because, in issue 420 7 years ago, he said the exact opposite. And, so I think one of the freeing thing about these type of anthologies is that you really can do like a pure vision of like the story you want to tell. Like in the story I told, like I crammed like every supervillain I could think of in there, it's from Superman's Rogues Gallery, just for like a panel piece. Like, he's punching Brainiac, he's punching Lex, he's punching, Atomic Skull.
Right, you wrote them all.
Yeah,
and you can say that now.
Well, yeah, it was just sort of like, I got this one shot, I might as well get my money's worth, right? Yeah. But the thing was that like I didn't really have to kind of like worry about like whether this story was gonna work as anything else than just like a good Superman story. And I think it was like kind of incredibly like freeing, like as a writer. And I think, and as a reader, seeing the same thing with other books, it's refreshing as a reader, at least for me. Like I do love continuity, and I love like the history behind like a lot of like, so many of like superheroes and supervillains and everything like that. Like, there's definitely like a lot of enjoyable stuff there. I mean, like I used to read those Who's Who books. It was like reading like a history book, you know what I mean? And I was eating it up. But at the same time, it's like, it's fun to just see these like wild and varied takes. Like I think in one of the Carnage books, like Al Ewing did like a choose your own adventure story of like, Carnage. And it's like, that would just like probably wouldn't fly, like, if he was just the writer of Carnage or whatever, but it was great to see. Ben Percy told a Carnage story like set in the Old West, where like it's like Carnage versus like an Old West sheriff, and it's like that's not going to happen in like or like you're not going to be able to explain how that happens in the Marvel universe without being like, well, did Carnage time travel? Has Carnage been on Earth long? Like, there would need to be a lot of like kind of work explaining how that could exist, like if it was part of the mainstream Marvel continuity in a book. Whereas like in a book like that, he just had this idea for a cool Carnage story set in the Old West and had the freedom to tell it. So, I liked them a lot.
I like the fact that it's a good point. They're like I said, they're popping up everywhere. I think anybody who's got a property is doing these short anthology.
Yeah.
They're charging more for them, but the concept is that you can tell these stories. You can go outside of whatever continuity is going on. Like I had a conversation with somebody who was writing for DC last night and said the character that they're using and the story that they're telling is going to keep that character out of the rest of the universe for some time, right? So that is just part of how everybody's going to have to work at that publisher. That this character is just not going to be available for other people to use, but that doesn't mean that there's not they couldn't be in red and blue or black and gold or black and white or whatever, wherever you find them, because you can tell those stories and and the heart of it is getting across an idea, a theme, using characters, using things that are associated with them. So I think I do enjoy them. I do enjoy because it allows you to explore that character, and especially for people who are not familiar with the character, because it gives us so many different facets. That's because there's so many different voices in there.
Yeah,
Chris, have you been? I'm sure you haven't been looking at them, Chris, because they're all limited palettes and not conducive to what you're doing. I'm not saying you don't like limited palettes, but it's like only one color.
Right. Yeah. And then now,
but, like the funny thing with like red and blue is that even with just the constraint of using, I mean, if you want to talk technical, it is like black, white, red, and blue. But even with just limiting to those two colors, there's a huge, like if you look at the stories, there's a huge range of styles, a huge range of ways that it's been applied across all the stories. That it's like it's not as limiting as like it originally it seems. So I think it's pretty cool. Okay.
And the star of the hour is here finally.
Look at
Welcome, Joe.
Face.
First of all,
we were just talking.
I just feel like I've walked into like a baseball simulcast with Bob and Chris. They look like they're doing play-by-play with the whole headset on. It's very impressive.
It's a call-in show. What do you think about?
We wanted to make you feel comfortable based on your recent events.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. We're not going to talk about outcome, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm happier than if the outcome was a different way. That's it.
All right. Okay. We'll leave it at that.
That's fair enough.
Like a gentleman.
We got about another 20 minutes or so before I think I need to call this out, but I'm so glad you joined. Where did this come from? Where did we get Happy Hill?
Okay, I'm just going to give you the quick pitch. Originally, I said, let's get one of the best colorists in comics. Let's get one of the best letterers in comics. Let's get one of the very best writers in comics.
Fucking guy.
Joe Mulvey. And that was the original pitch.
That was not the original pitch.
Yeah. No, the idea has been
I'm
coming.
I'm gonna say that I've I hope I don't get in trouble for this, and I hope that I don't ruin myself here. But I've been hearing about this book for quite some time, and I've seen pages. I'm enthralled with the art, and I hope if you get a chance while you're drawing or something, you go back and watch what we talked about and some of the amazing things that you are doing, and all of you in terms of putting these pages together and telling the story. But like, where we all acknowledge that this is your baby, this is your idea. You know, where did it come from?
Just from the idea of a happenstance antiquing shopping experience with my wife.
This is why.
And I just happened to see this picture of like a family photo, like a very black and white, like I'd say like maybe like early turn of the century type photo. And it looked like a regular photograph that you would see, except for the fact that like the matriarch, is that right? The patriarch, sorry, the father of the family was wearing a top hat and a gas mask. And like this idea just like germinated in my head. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if, and I'm not going to go into further detail because that'll obviously spoil some of the story. And then from that, I just started drawing pages and like came out with a plot outline. And then much like anything I ever do, I get a gentleman by the name of Christopher Sotomayor to color it and make it look professional and way better than I am. And then like at a certain point in the development, I got lost in the weeds of the story and I was adding subplot upon subplot because I had so many ideas that were bigger than the scope of my brain. And then in running to Rich constantly and asking him like his ideas and like his input and his editorial process on it, he just kind of, for lack of a better word, just knocked the shit out of it and made it like so much better that I was like, dude, you're no longer just helping me along. Like you're co-creating it with me. And then we got a great guy like Tyler James and Comics Tribe to help us put it together into into a really nice package, and I think it's going to be a super special project for people to check out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It looks beautiful. It's captivating from even the 4 pages. I think I can bitch at you probably more because like I didn't get to contribute to the all these nice things that people have said. David's a friend of mine. He gets to see it. All these nice accolades of the book. I next time I get to see it because I'm claiming that.
Bob, how about you just shoot me your email and I'll send you the PDF when this is all done.
Well, that's fine. Yes,
Okay.
I will do that. But
only because I respect a good mustache. Other than that, wouldn't have happened.
Okay. Well, it takes a while.
I know. I've tried to grow them, but it turns this majestic piece that you see right here into something completely different. And let me say thank you, because it's hard to get the word out on creator-owned independent books. So thank you for even paying any remote attention to it whatsoever, let alone giving it a breath of air on your show.
No, I appreciate you guys so much. Absolutely, this is the type of book we're talking about. Like this is the type of stuff that you can tell that there's so much, intentional storytelling and trying to convey a mood, trying to do things with it. And I'm sorry you missed the earlier part because we really deep dove into some of your panels and the way that you're crafting it really is evoking the emotions that you're trying to get at. And but like I said, I think Tyler sent me Wailing Blade when it was going on. So I think that was my first experience because I had seen Wailing Blade before Rich and I spoke, and even before Chris and I spoke the first time, because I definitely gotten involved early there, and yeah, it was definitely that because. Or it was Rich. Actually, that's what it was. It was that Rich sent me Wailing Blade. It's like, hey, I got this book. And I said to Chris, who's this guy, Rich?
That's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, I'm working on this book. Oh, with him. And that's how I got it. But I love that book. I thought it was fantastic. I think you guys are a great team, all of you, in the way that you feed off of each other. And it's great. So I'm happy to have people talk about it. How do you, Joe, feel that you've grown between Wailing Blade, what you did with Wailing Blade, and where you are here?
Leaps and bounds. But the truth of it is even though I know it gets talked about a lot in social media, and you'll hear interviews and stuff like that where people kind of always go, oh, I got to pay attention to the artist. Whatever. I ain't me unless I have Soto coloring me and Rich kind of directing me in a certain way. It's kind of Tom Cruise is great in a lot of movies, but he's better when he has Spielberg directing him or whatever. I just think I'm a better creator when I have people around me that are really invested in the project. And I don't think there's a better person in comics or in humanity than Chris Sotomayor. And I normally don't like tall people, but he is he's so good just for comics in general. Shut up, Chris. Take this. He is so good as a collaborator because I can send him pictures of something when I'm completely lost on something and be like, dude, I'm thrown off by the shadow and the lighting and the this and the that. And then he'll just be like, just scan it in. It's great. I'll make it. I'll help you. I'll make it work. And he's just a dream collaborator as a colorist. Because to be honest, it doesn't happen a lot that I feel like colorists get enough of the credit for what they do. And the truth is, I know it's oh, you're the artist. I'm dump if it's not colored by the right person and makes it look the right way. And even in the page you have up right now, I had speed lines, which I've been heavily influenced by manga lately. So the two small panels, which just the Mackenzie's mom, right there, yeah, they pop way more because of the lighting, because of the coloring, because of those little purple and blue speed lines that Chris put in there. And that's just because he's a genius. And he makes people look so much better than they are. And I'm a prime example. And then you get yes,
right here. Like I'm gonna go. So like look at this panel though. So and we broke that page down before, and but one of the things I want to talk about, like your camera angle for this particular panel here, is genius. It's perfect because I am getting so much emotion and so much concept over here, yet this I know what's going on here. I know where she is, so I'm introduced into this page, and we're in a car, right? And I know that the mother's driving. She's somewhat paying attention to what's going on back there, but she's paying attention to what's going on. So I get this, and then I move into okay, yeah, she's driving along. I get this very very similar panels, but we changed a little eye direction. So I'm telling a whole story here. We see this, and I'm not even going into the words. The words are important, and obviously that. Then there's this whole change in tone, right? When she's slamming on the brakes and somebody's here, and this glows at you. One of the things I wanted to say, and I'm going to say it again because it really this right here. Do you see this? What I'm pointing at?
Yeah.
The fact that he put the word balloon behind the little stuffed animal adds such dimension to this particular panel.
Yep, that's Hassan, dude. He's another one.
I know.
He's unbelievable. Like, if you've read a comic book in the last 6 months, he's probably lettered 2,500 of them because he's just so prolific in everything he does.
Oh, yeah.
But even in this book, like, Bob, when you see the actual finished PDF, he puts his stamp on every aspect of it. Like, the woodsman, who there's no secret there. The woodsman is a character. Is it a human? Is it a supernatural character? Is it a monster? I don't know, guys. You're gonna have to pick up the book and find out. But Hassan,
see, this is what we needed the whole time. We needed the car salesman. Come on, get the
yeah. He put in this whole intricate, detailed way of looking at the lettering and
he's
with the setting. Hassan is a phenom in lettering. He really is. Like, and
he's
as a
brilliant.
collaborator, I know
And
he's not here, but as a collaborator, he is a dream to work with simply because I am not. Rich Douek is the Mulvey whisperer. Okay, that's what you have to be to work with me as a co-writer. And Hassan, that poor, beautiful human being, had to put up with me sending in constant rewrites of like, hey, how about this? Hey, how about that? And he was professional, happy, and just a great collaborator all the way through. So I mean, like, it's a dream team on a book.
So I love Hassan. I think he. I said earlier, and I'll say it again. He's one of the best letterers in the business.
Agreed.
He is my favorite that just pops out of my head is the work that he did on Red Sonja on Mark Russell's Red Sonja was just phenomenal. The way that he's able to separate out the voices and express them. He also worked with Mark on Lone Ranger, and again, these are stories that are told because Mark doesn't typically tell his stories just through dialogue. So there's got to be a lot of ways to get the words to the reader in different ways, and Hassan is a master at that.
I agree. I haven't read that actual book or series, but
no, that's fine. I typically read way more than the people I talk to, so I don't expect that. You guys are busy making it. You guys are busy making it. I'm just reading it.
Like, even though he probably didn't tell you, like, I was out in Long Island, and that's where Chris lives, Long Island, New York. And obviously, if anyone wants to know the exact address, just email me, and I will send it to you. But before I had to go out today to my activity, my game, I had to clean his gutters. And I go over to Soto's house, and I clean his gutters. And as I'm up there cleaning his gutters, he throws, and I don't know why, peaches at me. And he just throws them as I'm doing the work. And
they go in a can.
Yeah. And that's what he does. And then he's very abusive. But then on the artistic side, could not be more supportive. So, it works out well.
All right, I don't
know why you're laughing, dude. You're the one throwing the peaches.
I'm going to add to the humor. So this is just we're getting towards the end of this. Is just funny. So my oldest son was born in Brooklyn. He lived in Brooklyn until he was 7. We lived in Jersey until he was about 8. went to school there. But by the time he was 8, we moved out to northeast Pennsylvania. So he basically spent the most of his formative time there. He lives in Pittsburgh, but he's actually spending the night on Fire Island because has this amazing girlfriend who's like this naturist outside, like wants to be outside in the world. So she got him to go camping on Fire Island, and he hates bugs. Like he's deathly afraid of them.
That's a great place.
But he called me yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon when they got there, and he said, "We're in Pachogue." And I said,
Sorry.
I said it's Patchogue. I said it's Patchogue. And he goes, "How do you know that? Have you been here?" I'm like, "No, but I actually grew up in the tri-state area, and you know how to pronounce the names of the towns."
I had a friend who grew up in Wisconsin, and he moved to Brooklyn. And he's like, I was like coming over one morning, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna stop and grab breakfast. Like, you know, you want anything?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll have a bagel." I was like, "Oh, what?" Like, I was actually angry. I was kind of angry at him.
Well, what I suggest is, and Bob, I don't want to, monopolize your time, but if you want to make another show, we have a lot of friends that are all from different areas. Like my entire family is from Ireland, or if you really are from Ireland, you hear Ireland, which almost sounds like O-R-E. It's like Ireland. You're from Ireland, and I have there's a comics tribe in IDW, and like a writer we all know named John Lees, and he's a brilliant writer. And he came over to my house and stayed with us for like a week to go to like different conventions. And I think he went to WrestleMania that time or whatever it was. And we went to a late night, what's the name of it? Kaiju wrestling show on Northern Boulevard in Queens at like midnight. It was this weird thing. As we're driving there.
So people dressed in kaiju wrestling each other?
Oh, dude, there was a guy dressed up like a tinfoil potato. He body slammed a skyscraper. I'm not going to lie. It was amazing. And seeing it with John is even like, because like you got to be like the Scottish Whisperer to get through it. But hearing him say things in New York and hearing him be on the Long Island Railroad and ask me, like, do I get off at Woodside? I go, Woodside? I go, it's Wood. It's Woodside. And then the other thing was like, was Casino Boulevard was Kissina. And like, there should just be a show where you just bring in people from other countries to say things in Queens, because Queens has so many different influences. It's like, there's a heavily like, Spanish section, an Irish section, an Asian section. You have everything here. Like, it would be just worth it alone just to hear people try to pronounce street signs.
Yeah.
And Soto is going to sponsor this. He's going to sponsor this.
With his peach canning business.
Yeah. Well, he calls it, what is it called? Gutter abuse? And I'm like, I'm down.
I thought it was gutter magic. What?
Yeah. People ask me, they're like, how do you get, and I'm not even joking. Someone asked me this week, how do you get Chris Sotomayor to color your pages? And I write to him that he abuses me and I take it.
You laugh, but funny story. There are several gutter cleaning companies across the USA called Gutter Magic. That's the reason why I couldn't buy the URL guttermagic.com when I was starting out. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get the URL of guttermagic.com. I'll advertise. And I went to look it up, and it was like almost everything you could do, like gutter dash magic, gutter this magic, yeah, all gutter cleaning companies. So maybe a sponsorship opportunity. I don't know. We'll see.
Cross promotion, cross branding.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, Happy Hill Comic is available.
It is. It is right now.
You guys should fix that. You guys should fix that.
Yeah, easy URL. If you go to happyhill.comicstribe.com, it'll take you right to that page.
Okay, great
page that you're seeing on there. If you don't want to check that alphabet soup there, just go to happyhill.comicstribe.com. Campaign's running till Saturday. Still a lot of great rewards available, and hope you guys come and pledge, because it's going to be a really fun ride.
And I'll just say one more thing, if I can piggyback on Rich's, information, is that it's the Bitcoin of comics. I don't want to say this thing is going to go up in money or value, but when you get it, you're probably going to be able to retire maybe 3 times just on the value of this one individual comic book. It makes all other comic books, I don't want to say pale in comparison, but it embarrasses them by sure. And if you're not picking it up, just send your address. Let me come to your house with a copy, and let me just try to persuade you. Like a door-to-door salesman, I will try to do that for you. No matter where you are in the continental U.S. or Hawaii.
What about Ireland? Orland?
I'm already over there already. Those people will find me. They're looking for me already. That's why I gotta hide.
Okay. I have more stories. We should do this again. We definitely will do this again.
I'm glad Joe made
and
it.
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize. I wasn't here earlier, but
no, it's family is important, and we did let we won't discuss necessarily. No. Yeah.
I like
kids.
Meh.
Listen, I know how to get in touch with your kids, Chris. So one thing we haven't touched. So issue 1 is for this Kickstarter. How long do you guys think we're gonna be before we get to issue 2? Is it going to be through Kickstarter? Do we think for issue 2 or
2 is going to be? It's all going to be direct market after this.
Okay.
Or the trade, because that's how the publisher primarily works. So the first issue, they try to get brand awareness and awareness of the book out there, and kind of make it fun for people to kind of really get invested. Like that's just the beauty of the Kickstarter community. And then after that, it'll be all direct market release, probably I think from November straight through March in consecutive months.
Oh, that's fantastic. So do we think?
Trade.
So is issue 1 going to be in November in shops? So we're going to.
That's the hope. Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah, that's what we're pushing for. I don't think it's like confirmed yet, but not because there's any issue. I just don't think that they're like setting things up that far ahead yet. Like, so we should know like in like definitely like in the next few weeks. I think we'll have like a more solid idea.
Good. Awesome. What else? What if somebody is thinking about backing this book? What is the one thing that you want to say, Joe, that would make them need to back this book?
Well, just like any conversation I ever have, I say more than I need to. So I'll say this. Number 1, when you back the outside of digital, the only level you can get that's an actual physical copy is 2 copies. And I'm going to say something that's not very popular within comics, but hopefully it reaches your listeners in the most positive way possible. It costs as much to send 2 issues as it does to send 1 with shipping. So guess what? When you back the first issue to have the actual issue in your hand, Comics Tribe has done a very smart thing, and they make it that you get 2 issues, 2 variant covers, for what would be the price of 1. Now, my intention is that hopefully you want to share this book with other people, because I have made this book, and Rich and I and Chris and Hassan, the intent is that this is a book for everyone. Everyone. Like, yes, there's some blood and gore, so if you don't like horror, it's not for you. But overall, if you like stories about family, if you like stories about quests, if you like stories about vacation places, which, I mean, Chris colored the unholy hell out of this book to make this place look like I want to rent a room there. And we've made it a place.
We discussed that.
Yeah, we've made it a place that you can really want to invest your time. The same way you get invested in a really good television series and you want to like tune in every week or every month or whenever it is you watch it. That's what we want with Happy Hill. And when you come to Happy Hill, we want you to leave all your troubles behind by the time you open the cover until the time you leave and close that last cover, that last page, and close the book. And the intention is for hopefully you to spread the word and go tell other people you really got to check out this book. Because, yeah, there's a lot of scares. Yeah, there's a lot of blood. But there's also a lot of awesome times. There's a lot of awesome jokes. There's a lot of awesome laughs. And it's just really a vacation for the mind. From the second you open the book to the second you close it, you can check out, just enjoy yourself, have a great time, enjoy some moderate artwork, some amazing scripting, some phenomenal colors, and then hopefully, want to come back next month.
Sounds great to me. I'm excited. So there are there are 430 other people who are excited and behind
Yep.
you at this point, and there are 49 hours for that to push that number, much higher. Everyone out there who's listening, the project ends midnight on Saturday night into Sunday morning. We got a little less than 2 days, and or a little more than 2 days, 49 hours. And I think we're gonna close it out for tonight. But I definitely want to do this again, and thank you guys so much for doing this. This was our first live, and I think it went well. I hope people will watch and did watch, and thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate
Thanks for having
it.